Good afternoon folks, my name's Mike from the Gadget Addicts, and today I'm going to be showing you how to use the Boss OC-3 Super Octave pedal. Now this is one of my favourite musical gadgets at the minute. It's an absolutely blinding pedal, you can make some utterly bonkers noises out of it, and today I intend to show you how. So as you can see, for recording this we're running through my orange Micro Terra, little 20 watt combo valve transistor amp. There's the Boss OC-3 itself, and we'll be playing my lovely Ibanez S in the gorgeous midnight blue that it comes in. So what I'll be showing you today is methods on how to use the octave effect itself, and also what can happen when you combine it with a few other different effects. Hopefully this will come out very useful for you, everybody, and you'll be able to learn something new. So before we get started, let's have a look at the actual pedal itself. So as you can see, it's Boss's standard compact pedal size, so it'll fit on anyone's pedal board quite happily. You have two inputs, so you can use this with either a guitar or a bass, and you also have two outputs, so you can have your standard output to an amp, or your mono effect, and you can also have direct out, which no matter what effect you use on here, just puts the octave effect out, so you can send it to a mixing desk if you happen to want the octave effect separate to your mix. You've got four knobs along the top. First one, direct level, which is pretty standard, the volume of the thing. Oct 1 level, which is the level of the octave that you're using, so when it patches the octave on top, it's the volume that comes out like that. Here you have your configuration knob, which allows you to set the parameters depending on which kind of effect you're on. This can range from the depth of the octave effect to the amount of distortion on it. And the last knob here is the setting knob. So there are three settings on this one. You have the poly effect, which only puts the octave down effect on the bottom 3 or 4 strings of your guitar, depending on if you play a 7-string, leaving the kind of upper frets or the upper strings octave free, so you can have the pedal on all the time if you're noodling, soloing, doing double stops and such what, but I'll explain why that's important later. In the second position, you just have octave on all the time. Put your second octave on, no matter what string, no matter what note, everything's on. And lastly, you have the drive setting, which puts a massive heap of distortion on top of it. It's more akin to a fuzz box than distortion, if I'm honest. Not a lot of people find it that useful. I quite like it for some spectacularly weird effects, but other than that, I don't use it so much. I tend to stick with the Octave 2 or the poly settings. But I tell you what, let's get this all set up and we'll see how this sounds. So this is just on a clean amp setting with the octave effect on poly, and everything kind of set down the middle. Using the neck pickup here, and we'll see what it sounds like. So you can hear definitely the octave sound coming out there. 2 octaves are played at the same time. Now, one thing that's worth remembering with this is that you don't want to be playing 2 notes at once because it gets confused. And you can hear it try and find the notes. If I play this B chord, you can hear as it's filtering down, it's trying to find a sound. Likewise, if I play the C chord, hear it jumping about left and right there trying to find which note to play. So if we put it onto the... No, in fact, if we keep it on this setting, and I can show you the fact that it doesn't actually do anything on the top frets, on the top strings. See? Just normal. And the octave effect kicks in as I reach down to the bottom strings. However, if we then switch it just to Octave 2 mode, and you'll see what I mean, where it just plays the octave effect no matter what string, no matter what fret you're playing. Now this can have applications for anything. I quite like that sound. You know, if you're skipping up and down doing runs, it's almost like you've got the bass following you. Now we'll try it on the drive setting. We'll see how well this appeals to you. Like I say, this is a very niche sound to go for. Not many people like it, but we'll see what happens. A lot of people really don't like that. Again, I think it has its specific uses and I quite like it, but to use the octave effect with distortion, it's much better to either use a pedal or an amp. And I'm going to show that to you now, so if you just give me a second while I switch my settings here. Just pump my gain right the way up. Oh yeah, you can hear that hiss. So when you have the pedal first going into your amp and the amp distorting it, you get both octaves distorted, unlike the other effects there where it was just one sound. So you kind of end up with something like this. Now when you get to the upper frets as well, this really comes into its own. Kind of a harpsichord effect out of it. It's absolutely fantastic. I love it. But what happens if you then add other effects into the chain? So what we're going to try now is see what happens if you add a phaser in front of this. So here we have a Rocktronics vintage phase going through the octave effect into the distortion on the amp. Let's just see what this sounds like. You can't really hear the phase there, so let's try and see what happens if we swap them around. So that was interesting. So I tell you what, why don't we take the distortion back off the amp, and for one last little test, we'll see what happens with the distortion on the octave pedal. Right, let's see if we can really get that phase sound to sweep. Boss Super Octave OC-3 on the distortion setting, into a phaser, into an amp. Sounds utterly ridiculous. It's fantastic. The best advice I can give with playing with an octave pedal is keep your mind open, and also keep it open to where you put it on your pedal board. So as you can see, there was a massive difference between whether we put the phaser in front of the octave or behind it. Generally speaking, you should probably put the octave at the very beginning of your signal chain, so then it goes through the distortion, through the chorus, through the flanger, through whatever else you have. But if you experiment and place it, you can come up with some very strange sounds, very wonderful sounds, and hopefully you can create something a bit unique. But thank you for listening today. This was Michael the Gadget Addict, showing you how to use the Super Octave OC-3.